Welcome to Module 3. This week we'll be looking at the system that is a geographic information system. So if you want to think about it, the way that it was taught to me and explained, when you consider a geographic information system, the map's the geographic piece. The information is the table of information behind the map and what allows things to be symbolized and analyzed. And the system is really how the map and the table interact together. During Module 1, our goal was to give you some simple, ready-to-go materials so that no experience is required. You can download the activities, familiarize yourself with them, and have them use them in your classroom. Last week, we wanted you to get comfortable with using ArcGIS Online by completing a student-centered activity and creating a simple map and making map notes. This week we want to take it up just a little bit. We want to give you an opportunity to create a map from the ground up so that you can see how did the maps that I've been working with get created? How did perhaps the American Revolutionary War map get made, or how did the Underground Railroad map get made? This week you'll be making a Civil War map, and then you'll be using GIS to analyze the geographic significance and the role of geography in the Civil War. The skills we're teaching you are skills that are being used across career platforms. And I just want to share with you a couple of examples of activities and projects that students in high school have completed using a lot of the same tools that you're going to walk away from this course knowing how to do. The map in front of you is geospatial analysis of Albemarle County crime between 2010 and 2012. Sorry about that little interruption there. If you look at this map is very similar. The skills in this map are the same skills we reviewed with you the other night in the webinar, in which we took the addresses of all of you and we created a thematic map to show which state you're from and how many people from each state do we have. In this case, crimes are geocoded by address, and instead of aggregating the instances of crime by state, they're being gridded with this tool called a fishnet. So the students created a fishnet around Albemarle County and created pixels, and then they counted up the number of crimes that happen within each area. And what they show is certain areas where they're seeing higher instances of crime. The technique is used by a lot of major cities when they're looking for blocks and trying to determine the types of crime and the types of ways they need to go about patrolling and improving relations in the community. So that is a way that crime is using GIS. Another example is one where we look at political analysis. This is a tool to show how GIS can fit into the civics or government classroom. I had a group of students who were very interested in Amendment 64 in Colorado, and they looked at it from a number of levels and a number of scales. The map up here on the left is a categorical map or a thematic map in which they mapped out what's the current marijuana legalization status of each state in the union. And the same way they made this map or symbolized this map is the same way you'll be learning to symbolize maps this week. The bottom left-hand map looked at public opinion, and they categorized it as public opinion majority opposed or majority agree with or have current legislation towards marijuana legislation. And what you can see is the red states majority are opposed to legalization. The yellow states the majority are in favor, and you can get into political discussions over these opinions. Over here on the right is a map that shows how Colorado voted on Election Day for Amendment 64, and you see that Colorado wasn't a state that was completely in favor of the law. The rural areas and the urban areas were in disagreement. And in the middle of this line here, or this map, it shows them graphing the same variables to show what were some variables that influenced the vote for Amendment 64. And here on the bottom, it's an interpolated map of where would you be able to buy marijuana and which states passed local laws outlawing marijuana. So you've got the current situation in America here, the public opinion in each state, up here how each county voted, and then how areas reacted to the the passage of Amendment 64. I will tell you statistically, creating an interpolated map for this is not the best way to do it, and in fact it's quite inaccurate, but from a visualization standpoint it shows a compelling story. Finally, a map that shows an example of what you're going to be doing at the end of this course, and you don't have to do one like this student. The student was in a GIS class, but he used GIS to analyze the effects of World War II on Poland. He went out and he found the latitude and longitude of the battles that occurred in Poland during World War II. He then went out and mapped out the location of the concentration camps. He then created a mathematical formula to create a number value for each type of event with World War II. He then created a fishnet, and he, similar to the crime analysis, aggregated the cities that were destroyed, the battles that occurred in the concentration camps, and found areas that were most impacted, in his opinion, in Poland. And so you can see the darker cells are areas that were more impacted than other areas of Poland. Doesn't mean those areas were not impacted, just differently. And then he created a story map where he brought in images from the National Archives and Library of Congress to tell the story of how World War II impacted Poland. The skills here are very similar to the skills that were used here, but it's crime analysis. So wanting to show you how the skills and the tools that we're sharing with you transcend disciplines and are really going to be valuable to you and your students. And we're so glad you're still with us, and good luck this week, and contact an advisor if you find that you have any questions or meet any challenges. Thank you.